So I personally I'll use that word. I refuse to have a conversation about branding without having a conversation about content, without having a conversation about AI. That is why I call it the trifecta. Like all three of them are intertwined. It's not a buffet. Like, I'm going to go do this one and this one. Like, I'm going to talk to you about how they all intertwine today. That being said, we have 30 minutes, so we're going to blaze through. But hopefully, depending on it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter if you are an established brand and you sell the most real estate in this brokerage or you're brand new. I usually hit the edge cases, that agent that hears something that they need to hear. And obviously, as we talk about it together, any questions or thoughts that come up, um, I'm also usually qualified for dissenting opinions, but that can also go down a rabbit hole. We only have 30 minutes. So I'm going to tell you a quick story about Apple in 1997. So this is the Think Different camp. Wrong way. Okay, now I'm here. We're good. Okay. So the Think Different campaign, you saw a picture of it. That was Albert Einstein. Steve Jobs was removed from Apple. And while he was away from Apple, he just, did something like build Pixar. Like that guy's not lazy. But Apple actually brought him back in 1997 because they were not in a good spot. Okay. So they were losing money, losing market share, and most dangerously losing their identity. They had dozens of products. Like their own product managers really didn't know why they were doing it or what they were doing. And his quote from that time was, "We're going to focus. We're going to stop trying to be everything to everyone." In 8 weeks, he brought dozens of product lines down to 4. He brought clarity to process, but he knew something deeper was missing. Apple had lost its soul. They had no story. So he created the Think Different campaign. And I can imagine, you guys have seen the movies and you've heard about Steve Jobs. Can you imagine him with an 8-week timeline to go like revamp Apple? It was probably scary to work there, to be honest. But he did it in 8 weeks and he launched this Think Different campaign. It's a fun little watch on YouTube if you go look it up. It's very nice and grainy and 1997 looking. But he talked about the vision behind it. He personally called people like Yoko Ono to get permission to use John Lennon's likeness for something like this. So he was very intentional about this campaign, and it probably cost them a lot of money, right? But he was very strategic about why he picked that. And this campaign wasn't saying we're faster, we're better, we're cheaper. But its sole purpose was, this is who we are and this is what we believe. So within a year, their profitability came back, their public perception shifted, their talent, their investors, their customers returned. And honestly, this set the foundation for the Apple that you and I know today. When the iMac was created, the iPod, which then brought everything else. So this was the foundation of that. So Jobs didn't save Apple with a product, he saved Apple with clarity. So this is why I bring this up. So we're going to go on this journey today. We're going to start first with branding. Then we're going to talk about content, and then we're going to kind of close it off with AI. Because I think when you see an advertisement for a content strategy class, you're immediately going, oh, cool, that's for the people that want to go to the cool content day. That's not me. I actually sell real estate by repeat referral business. I don't need to do videos on social media. So even you are going to be a part of this conversation today because what I just said is very normal. It is a thing. I work out of a market center as well with agents that are top producing agents that don't have an Instagram or haven't been on it for like 2.5 years. So it's okay. It's normal. But here we go. So the first thing I start, this is Caleb Ralston. He's actually one of my favorite people right now to follow in regards to branding. But these are the questions that he asks. So you ask first, like, what is your desired outcome? What am I trying to get to? And usually this is a nice little 1-3-5 or a business plan. Sometimes we think about it like that. But overall, like, what is our big goal that we're going to? And then what do I have to be known for in order to do that? And what do I have to do in order to be known for that thing? And then what do I have to learn in order to do those things, in order to be known for it, in order to receive that goal? This sounds like we're in third grade. But to be honest, I would say most businesses, which us as solo real estate agents or even a part of a team, we are a business. Have we taken the time to define this? So this is my first step. What's the goal? Okay, this is the hill I will die on. Does anyone else have a hill they'll die on? Usually it's like a parenting thing, right? Like, no, curfew at midnight. Yeah, that was my mom's hill. Strategy, then content. So this is a rule that I have. With content right now, it is so fun to go, that's a trend. Like, okay, I'm speaking to the extroverts in the room. The introverts, you can just chill for a second. When you see a trend, you're like, oh, I want to do that. Like it's squirrel. And then you go just do it because it's a trend. Cool, but that's not a strategy, right? So I am always, and honestly, like I probably start to annoy everybody around me, but even the people that I'm working with, when they're like, we should do this, we should do this. Amazing. Why? Like, what's our desired outcome? What are we trying to do? Usually that stops you dead in your tracks, right? So I want you to remember this when we go talk about content, because then it will be easier to create content when you understand that it ties back into a strategy. And that's usually the block. We're not tying it into a strategy. And so it just becomes a chore, it becomes a box to check. And we need to call people. We've got some appointments we need to go on. I need to go do. We're just ignoring it because there's everything in front of us more directly correlates to commissions and income. And so this just feels like a long game that I'm happy other people play, but that's not me. Okay. So this was actually put out. We have an awesome newsletter that KW puts out that's called The Lead. I think it's leadership focused, but this little pyramid shows where the content is right now. So this is how I want you to, I'm just framing it for you. So 90% of people are watching and listening content. They are consuming content. They are doom scrolling. They are taking a seat when they have a minute, and then they're just scrolling on their phone. There's 9% that are doing that, but they're also engaging, right? Everyone has a few people that are always liking things and commenting. 3 hearts. 3 hearts is the good go-to, right? If you have no idea what to say on someone's comment. But only 1% of people, it's funny, this is always a trend, right? 1% of people are actually creating the content. So then the choice is, do you want to be the eyeballs or do you want to create them? If only 1% of people are the ones actually talking and engaging and bringing people to them, there's not much competition. Even though it feels like there is, there really isn't. So that's its own little chart to remember. Like, are you going to be the one that just watches what everyone does? Or are you going to be the one that is going to be the authority in any subject, in wealth, in real estate, in vineyard, in the neighborhood that you live in, right? Those type of things. Okay, so my favorite quote right now, I'm a quote lady, I like it, is James Clear's quote, which is, you should be far more concerned with your current trajectory than your current results. And this is a quote I want my friends that I called out at the beginning that said, I get all my business from repeat referral. You're who I'm talking to with this. Be more concerned with your current trajectory than what your current result is. Because there is an invisible undercurrent that you're not seeing, that agents that are starting to self-select creating content around strategy being found by AI, they're the ones now answering all the questions. And slowly those people could be pulled away from your brand to the new brand. That is a thing. So I like you to remember this, that your trajectory that you're on is far more important than historically what you've always been able to be comfortable with. Okay. So this is the thing I like to start with. Again, I loved that intro, and it did kind of point out my focus. I am a practitioner, so I like to just make things easier to implement and easier to chew, and that buy-in, like that's the thing that I like to focus on. So this is what I started doing in the South Valley Market Center. And what I did was I knew that content, again, I wanted these agents to be the 1%, but I can't just say, hey, go make some Instagram posts and hey, I got a content day on the calendar, right? Like it's better than nothing, but I need to do a little bit more. So then I thought, okay, I'm going to take all the guesswork out of this. That includes getting everybody to subscribe to what they want to commit to, and then just making it easier for them to go do that, and then make sure they understand why they do it. And then usually that's a good way to get people to move. But the buy-in never comes from somebody telling you what to do. If we were the people that were more driven by someone telling us what to do, would we be real estate agents? Absolutely not. Like this room is full of like, no one's going to tell me what to do. No one's going to tell me my hours. Um, I love the quote that's like, I got this job so no one could tell me when I could eat, and now I never eat. Right? Yeah. So, so that being said, I like to kind of lay out which one of these, if you started creating content today, which one of these would you think you could do? Okay, so I'm going to go through some scenarios, and I just named them things because that makes it easier for your brain. So there's the warm up track, there's the rhythm track, and then there's the creator track. Okay, so let's just pick warm up track. So if you did 2 videos, I use Reels as an example because it's it's Instagram and that's my primary platform. You do 2 Reels a week, 1 carousel, which is just those infographics that are multiple images, and then 3 stories a day because people like to engage with the stories, and it just kind of shows like what you're doing on a daily basis. And then rhythm adds a few more to that. And then creator adds a little bit more, okay, where you were doing 5 videos a week. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think the average real estate agent does that warm up track? I have taught this in multiple cities, multiple times, and I never get I never get one of these. There's always a bunch of these. So if nobody is doing even the bare minimum, let's just start there. So what is the average agent doing, and how can you differentiate? So again, this isn't just doing it for doing sake. It's if I am speaking about my brand and how I can help people, and I'm strategic about my content more than any other real estate agent, that's probably going to be a good thing over time. Okay. So we haven't even gotten to the details yet, but you're like, okay, fine. Warm up track, 2 videos a week. I'll go to that content day. Fine. Okay. So I don't like talking about myself, but I'm using this as a lived example of, okay, I have a full-time job. So if I can do it, you can do it. Okay. So last year, I launched something in our market center just called 100 Days of Social Media, which I liked because, again, I was just trying to make it easier for agents, but also a good time frame is helpful. So that buy-in of like, oh, cool, I only have to do it for 100 days. And then I'll get back to it. Okay, I can do it for 100 days. It's like the whole okay, I can go to the gym for 90 days. Well, then what ends up happening? You either quit or you've gone long enough that you're bought in, right? That's kind of the same thing. So at that point, so this was 1 year ago today, I the reason why this is so cringe, in my opinion, but the reason why I did it as an example is I did this green screen because I was like, you guys, look at what happens when you work hard. I got 43,000 views. So I was telling everybody else how easy it was to create content, but I was just also dumbfounded that like me being consistent actually was working, I guess. So I kind of laugh at this now, but I was really excited about this. It's the most views I had ever seen in my entire life. Views isn't everything, but I'm just bringing it up as an example. I had never shared content consistently, and I had never thought through a strategy. It was just like vacations, but I don't really take those, so that wasn't much of it. And then I was doing get togethers with friends, and it was like pictures of my kids, which is great, but it was just nothing about what I was actually doing for my business. And so I just decided it was time to be a practitioner. So this was the first time I taught this was April. This is similar. My goal is I want to hit 1 million in a month. I haven't done that yet, so I'm trying to figure that out. Me and Claude will figure that out together. I'll let you know. But this is as of April, where this was just my 1 month snapshot, right? So I had views, I had 200 new followers. I am focused on something different. I am not like focused on real estate as far as like selling real estate in my content. That's just for context. But this is my social proof that consistency works. Today, I got my notification that I've consistently shared content on Instagram for 52 weeks. So that's the whole like when you start, you just kind of keep going once you see it works. You can do this while having a full-time job, aka you don't have an excuse. And here's for the people that I know don't create content, this is the main thing I want to say. And I'll say this a couple more times before I'm done. The only purpose of this is so you can have more conversations, so you can add more people to your database, so you can sell more real estate. And right now in 2026, there's no better place to get attention at like the lowest possible rate, aka free, than social media. Seth Godin's quote is, if it was 2002, I'd be telling you about how awesome like my email strategy was, right? So that's the why. You will have more conversations about what you're talking about and with human beings, and there will be more opportunities to add people to your database than there was prior. That's the goal. So I want to keep that on top of mind because sometimes when I bring up stuff like views, then it starts to be like, I'm not creating content. I'm just trying to sell houses. So that is the point, and this is where attention is, and that's the only reason that it's important. So I love this Alex Hormozy quote. He says, what makes you extraordinary isn't what you do, it's how long you're willing to do it for. And I know all of you probably have felt that just specifically in real estate and getting better at what you do in real estate. And then again, these are examples of anytime you achieve something, you look back and go, how the heck did that happen? And this is how I've summed up having opportunities like getting asked questions. I did get asked questions by Jason Abrams, but Gary just stared at me, which was scary. If he opened his mouth, I probably would have died. So, but this is my summary. Consistently sharing what you do, what you know, and who you are here to serve will bring you opportunities and grow your business in ways you can't imagine today. So that's my why, but I'm just going to repeat that again because as agents, this could be a huge reason why content moves the needle for you. Consistently sharing what you do, what you know, and who you are here to serve the homeowners, the residents of Utah, of Utah County, of whatever that demographic is, will bring you opportunities and grow your business in ways you can't imagine today. And I'm using these as an example because I have direct stories that the only reason I got these opportunities, they were direct DMs. Like it was something I had shared and it probably sparked something in that person. And they sent me a message and said, hey, I have an idea. So I wouldn't have been, in my opinion, cold called on that, right? So these are the conversations. If you talk about maybe a little wealth building strategy or looking for a property that has an ADU, like you're going to get the DMs that say, okay, but what does that look like? Like, Like people just have questions and they need someone to help them. And it's just you intentionally sharing one or two pieces of content a week that start to spark those conversations, right? Okay. So can you give me a time of what time it is? Okay. Okay, we're doing good. Okay, so this is my first, this is where do you start? So if we go through these very quick, just know you're going to have all the slides to go back and look at as much as you want, but this one's pretty simple. I'm just going to get a little bit technical. I know this group can handle it, but you'll just go back and ask Claude, okay, Kimber told me to do this. What the heck does that mean? Just so you know, because we don't have as much time to go through the technical. But I start with roasting myself. Okay. This is a fun exercise. Has anyone ever watched the roast or know what the roasts are? It's basically just like you just being mean to somebody else. However, I'm going to tell you about a prompt that it's a little bit more productive, but you can't just start from scratch. You kind of have to know where you're starting from. And it could tell you like, hey, you haven't posted in 2 years. Maybe we can start there. Like it might say that. Or it might say, I mean, I didn't share mine, but originally when I did it, it was very insightful and it said like, hey, like you need to change up the where you're doing this. You're filming in the same spot, like you're not doing pattern breakups. Like it looks like you're just filming between appointments. And I was like, because I am. So it calls you out, but these are the technical ways that I would do this. I used to just screenshot my Instagram, like I would do like 30 days, but truly that's not the best way because it just sees the visual aspect of your Instagram. It doesn't see the details of like your caption or your video. And so what I like to do, again, we don't have time to go through the technical, but you'll be able to come back to this and throw it into AI. I like to use the browser, so Claude on my browser. So then I can log into Instagram. It can go to my Instagram and actually read my Instagram. And that's the way that it does that. So these are just the steps to do that. But this is the best way to get the most information. Okay. Once you do, then the prompt, I'm going to share with you my prompt, but this gives you kind of an idea. Like anytime you want feedback on something like this, don't just say analyze my Instagram account. Like say something like I'm wanting to be more consistent about content. Can you analyze like my content cadence, like the types of content that I'm doing? Like give me some feedback, give me some ideas, right? Get more specific. Um, and then you can even use it to compare. So I love using this to go because we all have maybe a creator or an agent in our mind that we're like, their account's so cool. We'll go have Claude dig into like what they do, how they do it, what their average posts are, like how often are they doing it, right? Like use the people that you look up to scan for that. Um, and then this is my prompt. You can update it, but I said analyze my Instagram profile and I put that in here. For the last 30 days, I want you to roast me in the most productive way possible. And for each roast, give me action items to improve that. In addition, I want my content to tap into being found on search results and in large language models. I need the I love you, but also fix this immediately version. So I basically said, don't be that rude to me, like be productive. Okay, so I'm going to scroll through this really quick just because I want to get to the AI side, but this is very important to just let you know. So, social media is now interest media. And so, to be honest, that's why somebody like Kimber can get 941,000 views in 1 month because I'm tapping into virality to what people are interested in. I'm basically playing the game. And it didn't used to be like that. It used to be like, well, however many followers you have, that's who sees your content. And that was one game, but it was a very limited game. So people really get surprised when they know I have like 3,500 followers, but I get those type of views. And it's just because I'm like going straight at like something that's going to help me get more engagement, more content. And so I just asked like, are you interesting? Just kidding. Um, but you'll be able to see it better when you get a copy of the slides. But this is how Instagram works right now, you guys. So naturally, it will flag like what you're interested in, and people can go click on that little heart at the top, and they can I mean, yeah, your Instagram will already have stuff that you've liked, but they can go delete or add things they're interested in. So if all you're doing is posting just listed posts and like talking about like, and again, this is part of the strategy, but it's not the whole strategy. Like you walking through 1234 Main Street is fine. That's actually part of your strategy to help attract more sellers of how you market, and yeah, marketing the house, but it is very little about like no one's interested in that. No one's like, you know what, I'm going to add interested in real estate. You're going to add interested in investing in wealth, but you're not going to necessarily add real estate first and foremost. So you want to just be strategic about what interest groups am I attracting. And this is why I tell agents like the best strategy for you is to just be putting like neighborhood geographic content. Like the more you can just be like found for Vineyard or found for Pleasant Grove, like that's the in. To be honest, there's actually no better strategy, in my opinion, for a real estate agent. This wouldn't be for every business than to go all in on geographic, because this is always going to feed me. Yeah, I have like Canva and like some branding things, but it's always going to feed me local content as well. But if you've noticed when you use social media, I don't see a ton of Utah County stuff, right? Personally. And maybe you don't, vice versa. And that's by design because Instagram knows where you live. And so just being the one that lets people know of, hey, there's this new development coming into town. Like we have a new football practice stadium that's getting built right here. Things that they care about, right? The things that are in these city councils that people are voting on with zoning, like you just being the disseminator of that information, that's as easy as it is, right? Okay, so these are my pillars, and this is the last thing I want to say for content, and we'll just really quickly close out on AI. I don't go with my content pillars. I don't go, okay, I'm going to do a market update and I'm going to do like kind of like a neighborhood one. Like, again, these are standard, but I go like even higher than 30,000 feet. And mine are visibility, authority, trust, and conversion. So I try to not put content out and tell agents not to put content out unless it hits one of these four. So just quickly summarizing what that means, visibility is all that fun, that trend stuff, things that are going to get a ton of views that maybe show your personality, but truly have nothing to do with real estate. If you're interested, there's a lot of videos on mine of me and my assistant team leader dancing in the bathroom at KW South Valley. That's more of the reach stuff, the personality, we use some of the trending audio, stuff like that. So visibility is only one piece. Authority is going to be more of that, you know what you're talking about. So I put that a little bit aside of education. Agents kind of sometimes jump straight to education. Let me tell you about how you read a home inspection or something like that. And that's not the worst way to do it, but how I actually know you're an authority is you show me you've done it, you don't tell me you've done it. So showing results, sharing client experiences, really just like being able to, like, again, social proof, like those are truly going to build authority quicker than maybe you talking, because there is a lot of people talking about everything they know right now, and everything's starting to feel like noise. And then trust, this is everyone's least favorite because it just means show your face. People build trust with human beings. Eventually, they build trust with brands, but usually it's the experience provided by the humans inside of it that translate to that. And I would say very few agents, even in the whole state, are in that like that your brand is strong enough that it stands alone from the human being. Most of us are just that solopreneur. So I got to see your face more and you talking and just I understand you. That's how I build trust with you. And then conversion is going to be those strategic um, getting people's information so that they can come to my pumpkin patch event at Hee Haw Farms, that type of thing. That's very intentional about database growth, right? Because remember, that's the whole point. So I'm just trying to hit those four every single month. Now you kind of understand that most people are just hitting the visibility, right? They're like, okay, I'm going to do the viral stuff, or potentially you're doing educational, but we're not really thinking about all four together. Can you give me a time? Okay. Okay, I'm going to blaze through these because I can summarize them quicker, but fun read to go back and look at these. I'm going to read a few stats and then I'm going to drive home why this is kind of a crazy game right now with GEO, which is generative engine optimization. Who in this room knows what that means? Okay. So this is a very common thing. I taught at Women's Council of Realtors at the Salt Lake Board about a month ago, and I had one agent raise their hand, and we got two here. So you guys are ahead of the trend. Good job, you guys. And I just want any red sign in to know that you have pulled up in two of my geo classes when I've just randomly been doing something and not trying. So maybe they'll teach us a thing or two. So the long and short of this, and this is why I call it the AI juice. When I taught a couple months ago in Colorado, when we were going through what do you want to learn, an agent was just like, what's that like AI juice where like I can be found by AI? And I just thought it was so funny. But what generative engine optimization is it's that new SEO. And when I say new SEO, SEO is not dead. I actually kind of hate when you see those headlines that say SEO is dead because Google's still around. Google's still doing its thing. It's now powered more in the AI realm. But yeah, it's not dead. However, people's consumer behavior is changing. So consumers aren't first and foremost going to Google. They're usually going to their chat, or maybe they've made chat their browser. And so people using LLMs as their search is a consumer behavior that has changed. And so I just want to, as an agent, know, okay, well, then what does that mean? There are a million little stats that I've shared with you, but this is the summary of this. And the reason why I gave it to you is because this was the current as of now. But here is the takeaway for how people are found by AI is every single LLM does things a little bit different. So if there was a standardized way, again, it could be outdated at the end of the sentence, but if there was a standardized way you could be found by AI, there's a couple, but it's very rare. Then, I mean, I think Shoni would have built out a whole business around it by now. Like it's just a moving target and we can't control, oh, well, everyone uses chat or everyone uses Claude. Like that's not a thing. So what can we do about that? The citations, like ChatGPT is pulling from like 30 sources, so not that many. But it's doing things a lot different than Claude. Claude likes long form content. And then obviously with Gemini, Gemini is going to pull way more into YouTube. So as of the day I wrote this, YouTube was the 23.3%. So almost a fourth of the sources that it pulled was from YouTube. So here's my takeaway for all of this. And I said this in a geo class last week that I taught on Zoom. The best way to lean into a geo strategy right now is producing more content. Like how you go. I know us as agents, like we want to like who my favorite question slash the most commonly asked question that I've heard in 12 years at Keller Williams is who can I pay to do this? Like bought in, who can I pay to do this? Yes, who can I pay to do this? And that's a great question. But I think sometimes we answer it incorrectly. We go find the person that's like, oh, I'm a SEO optimizer or whatever. And usually they're so expensive and they're like $1,500 a month. And then you look 3 months later, you're like, what happened? I don't know. We get subscription to death as real estate agents. And I just take that personally sometimes because I always say, like, I want the juice to be worth the squeeze. So, if you said, Kimber, what's the best way that I do that? We're going to sit here and talk about a content plan. Like, we're going to talk about the content that you go put out consistently. Oh, by the way, it's a little bit easier with AI these days. Putting out content consistently is the way that you're going to be found by AI. But the difference is, it's not going to always be, again, in the social media videos and all of that. It's going to be in attracting. And this is why I'll just pick on, I don't even remember what I had searched, but I'll just point out red sign when they pulled up as a query. We as agents, we think about, like, everyone thinks about themselves first, right? So you go, oh, they're going to search, like, what are the top agents in Utah County? And so we kind of reverse engineer it based on that because we're thinking about us. Okay, I don't promise you, but I think that consumers are going to start first with things that are about them. So that's why the listicle content, as far as like what are the top 10 places, family friendly places to live in Utah County? Like what places are closest to this school district? Can you give me the cities that have the highest school rating, right? If you are the agent that is consistently posting content about it, and I think that content that I found was school district specific, now that I think about it, then you're just being found, right? So that's why it's important, because of consumer behavior. Okay, that's the last thing. I'm going to show you this one. So I shared with you what I picture if you're going to optimize for being found by AI. Potentially, this is what you're going to work towards with weekly output. And it's going to be a quick update in your website. It's going to be a couple of posts on Google Business. It's going to be getting a video on YouTube. And you know what? I understand that me making that sound easy is like annoying. Just do one video a week on YouTube. You're fine. Build up to that, right? The average agent is not doing 2 videos on social media a week. So if we just start with you getting 2 videos on social media and then maybe potentially also putting it on YouTube Shorts, since there's a big draw to that by itself is going to be huge. But now you have the long game. Um, I could use 90 minutes. Okay. Just kidding. So here's what I want you to do. You have way more info than you probably need. At the end of this, you're going to get a follow-up email. I'm sending you a full site that has the prompts that I would use. I start with a prompt that is around the area that you serve and finding the most profitable segments, and then starting to create content based on that. So you have that whole site with 6 specific prompts. You have this whole deck, and you have potentially a plan that you can put in. And this is why I love about AI, even though I only had 30 minutes, you can go plug this into Claude and say, okay, based on this class that I learned today, like, help me start executing this. Shoni, anything that you would add or that you would maybe just chime in or correct, or like you're better at the like executing on the AI side, like what would you do with?
No, I think you nailed it. I think it's just like don't overcomplicate it.
No.
And the last piece that you mentioned was like tell AI what you're trying to accomplish and have it create a simple path for you. So I think that's the easiest kind of starting point is most of you have used AI enough the last couple of years where it's learned a lot about you. And so if you just say, hey, this is where I feel roadblocks. And two, it doesn't have to be video. I know some people have
Yeah.
roadblocks and hesitations against that. And I know you've written an article about, um, now I'm forget Substack, right?
Yeah,
So like you can do long form writing as well as another strategy and be found by AI. So just it is progress over perfection. So just
definitely.
like make progress and move in the right direction.
Yeah. And I'm usually I would say most commonly teaching on Zoom. So this office you have access to if I do something on Zoom, like Novely goes and adds it to your training calendar. So what I've noticed with the content strategy playbook is it gives you the playbook and now you're like, okay, so let's just talk about branding. Okay, so let's just talk about content. Okay, let's just talk about this geo. So I picture the last quarter of the year being kind of breaking this down more because our entire region needs this. But again, like use the two hands that were raised as the signal that you aren't behind, but it'd be a really good day to start, which I love not feeling behind. So that this is the industry. This isn't even just in Utah or in Utah County. So just get started. And again, you can always send me a message if you're like, hey, I loved this, but now I need more info. I'm always happy to be a resource. Sorry, I went a few minutes over. Okay. Thank you.